it to our thing.
Cool.
Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night. It is not 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we are here. We are going to be talking some comics. You came to hear some DC noise. That is what we do here at Nerd Initiative. Be damned about any computer technical difficulties. The show must go on at the home of pop culture positivity.
We stay positive here, man. We are staying positive. One way or another, the show goes on, right? What great Broadway production hasn't had technical difficulties at one time?
Exactly. And especially when you have a book as important as the one we are going to discuss tonight, it's never going to go on a hitch because, I mean, maybe the Collector of Worlds had something to do with it. What am I alluding to? We're going to have to go find out. But first and foremost, what is going on, everyone? My name is Ken M., host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative's comics editor-in-chief. And we have a guy behind the screen because his computer is not working so well tonight. Maybe the TARDIS fried it. We don't know. Maybe it's something happened with a cosmic screwdriver.
He's been messing around. Yeah, his sonic screwdriver's messed up, and it's just caused a little bit. It's a bit timey-wimey. You don't need to bore people with it.
Bang it with a wrench a few times in different places. That usually works.
Exactly. So that being said, he'll be in the chair. If you want to find out more about what's going on with him, go check out the Nerd Initiative Who's in Review recap of the latest Doctor Who episode. But as it says on the screen, my name is Ken, and I am joined by that dynamic duo of drafts and dialogue that are bringing you that pop culture knowledge you need to know each and every week with a fine beverage at hand. Please welcome to the show.
I do, actually.
Editors at Nerd Initiative Comics, Matt and Lauren. What is going on?
Not much. I'm excited to talk some Superman. How are you doing?
This was Lauren's very first Superman comic she's ever read. I just want to point this out to everybody here tonight. Lauren texted me as I was prepping, and she goes, I just read my very first Superman comic. And I was like, well, it took us 4 years of knowing each other.
What's funny, though, is my husband has this knack for like coming across like bundles of comic books and nerd stuff, and he's not into any of it. And about 2 weeks ago, he woke me up because we were having a neighborhood garage sale and brought me home a random box of comics, and a majority of them were Superman.
He FaceTimed me that morning. Yeah, he was like, yo, are you awake right now? You're going to love this. And here comes Lauren in her little robe walking out like, what?
It's true. I was in a robe and coffee, and Matt's on the FaceTime while my husband's going through all these comics. So I need to go through. I've organized them all, but I haven't read them. But I mean, I have The Death of Superman. I have a whole bunch of amazing Superman comics. I just haven't gotten around to. I'm too busy reading Wolverine comics, I guess.
Nothing wrong with that at all, especially some big news breaking today in the world of Marvel. Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo are going to be taking on Wolverine Revenge.
Oh my God.
Series dropping in August. I mean, how are we all feeling about that?
Oh my God. Like,
never too much Wolverine.
Greg Capullo is one of the greatest artists to ever grace comic books. And Hickman, like, are you kidding me? Like, those two together, are you serious? You're finally going to get me to follow a Wolverine run. That's, if you wanted to get me to follow a Wolverine run, that is exactly how you do it.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Lauren's still badgering me.
Yeah. We'll definitely be talking about that more as it comes up, because obviously, if anybody hasn't been following the world of Marvel, June is going to be a big month for the X-Men, but we'll get into that another time, because right now we have to talk some Superman, as we've alluded to, because this ties in with a certain awards announcement that was happening, and that is the Eisners. And obviously, if anybody's not familiar, that is like the Oscars of comics. I mean, it's up there with the Cheersies, let's be honest.
I mean, they're synonymous with each other, really. I think maybe next year the Cheersies might overtake the Eisners at San Diego Comic-Con, or maybe New York Comic-Con next year is going to have the Cheersies with the Eisners taking over San Diego. New York's going to be like, you know what? We need the Cheersies.
Think big, guys. Think big.
Yes, I mean, I love that idea for it. I mean, they do need something to do on one of the nights when it's not the cosplay championships.
Yes.
But with that being said, though, the Eisners did have the announcements, and for their one-shots that they have is a stacked competition lineup. But there was a book in there that jumped out to me that I was very happy to see was announced. And that was the Superman Annual from DC Comics from 2023. Now, this is written by Joshua Williamson, who, if anybody hasn't read his run on
He's
Superman,
amazing.
it's really takes you back to that Christopher Reeve, Tyler Hoechlin era of, the essence of truth, justice, and better tomorrow. And the takes he's done with this run have really flipped things on its, a 180, because you have Lex Luthor working with Superman from behind bars in one of the more twisted things that you'll see in comics. And you're also seeing Superman now is running LexCorp, which is now named Supercorp. And it really has taken this whole different dynamic, and especially where it leads to now in the comics, because there's a very big crossover that's happening that you'll see as we get on with the story. But for this annual, this was a focus on the day in the life of Metropolis and revealing a lot of the secrets happening there, because it centers around the Daily Planet and one editor-in-chief, not Perry White,
Lois
but
Lane.
Lois Lane. But before we get into the issues and on screen, obviously, if you're new to Turn the Page, thank you very much for checking us out. We do have a homework assignment we'll give you at the end of the show. And make sure you drop that subscribe button, and we'll go from there with that, because it's up on the screen now. So that being said, let's talk about the spoiler-free portion of this, because we like to go into spoilers after we give our spoiler-free take on this. So Matt, Lauren, why don't you pick us off? What was your spoiler-free take on this?
I very much so enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting because it's really not about Superman. Like this issue specifically, Superman's not in much. It's mainly about Lois kind of running the Daily Planet. And I really, I love Lois Lane. Even though this was my first comic I've read, I've seen Smallville. I watched Lois and Clark growing up. I've seen most of Supergirl. I'm currently watching Superman and Lois. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the characters and, how they're usually portrayed. And Lois Lane's always a fantastic, strong character. And the artwork too was fabulous. And there's one scene, like, even though we don't get much Superman, there's like a scene where all of a sudden he shows up and it's just gorgeous. Like the colors in the background, the light pinks to just like push and pop him out even more. And I just thought it was a lot of fun. And it was really cool to see how some of these villains were kind of, displayed. And I loved the whole concept of a day in Metropolis, because that's exactly what it was. We got a little bit of what everyone was kind of doing.
Yeah. Matt?
You can tell Lauren and I have been doing this a while together because we kind of share and finish each other's sandwiches, and that, I feel the same way. I always love when a good superhero story, like we get plenty of Superman, whether it's Justice League, whether it's whatever, we get plenty of Batman, these heroes. But when you really just break it down to like, what is the average day like in Metropolis for people who don't have powers, or maybe they do have powers, they're in the villains, or, other aspects, and what is a daily day in the life? I always love when they take a beat and showcase those, and that's what this comic did, man. I mean, Lois Lane kind of taking the forefront there in the beginning and being like, well, what are you guys sitting around for? Like, let's get some stories going. Right. And
waiting for a welcome email.
Exactly. Yeah. Like she's such a badass, and so I always love when we get to kind of see a lot of that more for Lois Lane, because anytime we see her, like, Superman's there and then they get separated and chaos ensues. So for her to kind of have her moment and just to go through a day in the life of what Metropolis is like, I love that stuff, man. I eat it up. It's so much fun, because how many times we watch a movie again and we're like, what is the daily life of the guy who's stuck in traffic right now, going to his stupid job in dead end Metropolis, and has the most inconvenient thing happen to him, whether it's Live Wire, Parasite, whoever it may be. What is life like for them?
Yeah. No, I mean, this is just such a refreshing take, because as you both touched upon, we get so many Superman stories. And obviously, being around since, honestly, it feels like the dawn of time, but the most legendary superhero of all time. It's really cool to see how the supporting cast delves into his world, and especially the life of the Daily Planet, which is a character amongst itself that we often forget about, because there's more to Metropolis that is going on than we see. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, as we start unfolding into the story here, it was really refreshing to see, and how the reporters react to everything going on. And then, let alone, we get the epilogue, which had me floored, being a longtime DC fan, and to see where it's leading now is really amazing. So that being said, let's get into the book, and we'll kick off with the first image we see on the screen. And this is just, I mean, what a way to kick things off here as well. Because
Goosebumps meets Superman, everybody.
Yeah. And I love how the byline of the newspaper is Superman, City of Tomorrow or City of Secrets.
Ooh.
And you see this great image of Superman fighting, obviously, one of Toyman's, crazy characters as it plays out. I mean, and this is just something that we see time and time again. And chat, super chat, I want to know, who is everybody's favorite Superman villain? Because he does have a rogues gallery. I mean, obviously, we know a couple big ones. But I want to see everybody's chat in there. Let us know. Vigilante Vibes, I know, is in the chat. Our usual guy in the chair, Rich from 3FM Podcast, is there. Definitely make your voice heard. I want to see this chat. But we go right from this big, iconic fight sequence with Toyman and Superman right to the Daily Planet.
You almost said Bugle. We saw it.
I almost did. Well, I'm a Spider-Man fan.
It's up there.
But we do see this all play out, and you see Lois Lane is leading the Planets group, and you get an introduction to everybody here too, which I think is very, very smart.
We got to talk about this artwork in a second too.
Go right ahead, Matt. Take it.
Oh, I just need to talk about, first of all, Steve Lombard up there, that hair and mustache flow that they have going on. Oh man, it's like we're flowing hockey, we're flowing 80s football in style. And then like this shot of Lois Lane, right? Everyone's kind of crowd around. She's got like this power stance going on, and she's just overlooking the city. Like, dude, this is awesome. I absolutely love this scene because, again, Lois is just such a staple of the Daily Planet as much as anybody else. If anything, she is the Daily Planet. Like, she is the reporter that's going to get you that news story. And so to see her right there, man, I don't know. Something about this whole sequence right here, I love. And then also, I want to agree with you. Brainiac is my favorite personal Superman villain. But yeah, dude, like I absolutely love how everyone's like looking to her for the answers, for the lead. And yeah, dude, it's awesome.
Yeah. Lauren, how about you? What's your take on this scene?
No, I thought it was gorgeous as well. And I love that even though, Lois is not, she's dressed in all black, she's not but she's still somehow where your eye immediately goes. And you can see like the stress on her face. So you know that it's going to be a stressful situation. And she's, obviously taking control of the situation, because the one thing she's really good at is putting out fires. She creates fires, but it's like, she's almost like that firefighter that, they have to do a controlled burn. So like, she might light the forest on fire, but then she does the control burn and controls the situation and exposes the secrets. So she's fun and she's stressed and she's about to just do what Lois Lane does.
Get stuff done.
Get stuff done.
And that's something that, like I say, she does as she's holding court there. And in the sequence too, this is where you really see it come to life. Like I say, you see this moment play out where Lois is like, okay, what are we doing? Pitch me your stories. And you see how they are trying their best to, sell their stories about what they're going to do and what makes sense. And I love how Lois attacks this too, because she is literally hearing all the pitches. Everybody's got great ones about Livewire, Mercy Graves at Supercorp. And, it just plays on as an editor-in-chief, okay, what are we going to do? And this is where Lois literally says, what are you waiting for an email invite? Go. And I love this line, like I said, Warren alluded to this earlier. And this is what you see happen in any newsroom, anywhere you go.
If this is literally Ken on a Thursday when we pitch the books for next week. He's like, pitch, what do we got? What do we got? And he's yelling at everybody like, go. This is Ken right here, just so we're all clear. You got to peek into the Nerd Initiative bullpen right here.
True story. Yeah, no, this is this hit like once we got the bullpen established, this hit like very, very close to. I'm not gonna lie, like this is some of the chats
complete with the hand, the face in the hand and all right there.
Yeah, like maybe we'll get that. I'll have to do that for a meme for the Nerd Initiative.
Yes,
we have to get a new logo. Maybe I'll just do it like the NBA logo. Just do it and go. But as we see this kick in, like this is where Lois is just dealing with the stress of what's happening. And then we start going into the side stories. And this is what I love seeing. You see each reporter go a different way. And we kick off with going to Supercorp, and it's following about the Mercy Graves story. And we do see that obviously things are a lot different than we're used to seeing here. And we do see, well, a certain villain pop up And Lauren, I mean, what is your reaction to seeing Parasite? Very nonchalant, just common working.
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious he's been somewhat rehabilitated or something's happened because he has a genuine look of like happiness and like just happy to be there and working on his face. So right away I felt like I knew he wasn't a danger. But the t-shirt, I started laughing at the t-shirt that Jimmy's holding where he's like, I went to Metropolis and all I got was this shirt and Superman saved my life or whatever. Because
Mhm.
it's one hilarious and like, obviously this woman worked for Luthor Corp, now she's working for Supercorp. So of course in her head it's all profit, profit, profit. And she's like, Superman didn't want to profit off this, but if Superman did save your life and you got that shirt, it's just a constant reminder of the trauma that you experienced, and it's really not a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I just thought it goes to show like the mentality of this person. Sure, she's worried, and obviously that's what they're trying to get under too. Like when Kat starts to question her, but yeah, when I saw Parasite and this Metropolis thing, it was all very lighthearted. I didn't think that he was going to turn in the moment. It looked like everything was under control.
Yeah. Matt, how about you?
This is fun. Parasite reminds me of my dog who is just happy to be there, man. He's just got like this goofy, happy smile going, and everybody's initial reaction is like, whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on? He's like, no, guys, it's cool. I've got, the clamp on that feeds me like this diet to
He
keep me
really
at
just gets
bay.
angry. That's all
Yeah,
it
that
is.
who can relate? Like,
I
if
mean,
I get
that was me earlier today.
yeah, we all get hangry and can relate to what Parasite is. And so I love the fact that he's just there. He wants to help. He wants to work. He's rehabilitated. And again, it kind of is proof too that like when we talk about villains, it's like, is somebody always a villain? No matter what alien race they are, what their power is, are they always going to be a villain? It's like, well, no, they can be rehabilitated. And Parasite's a good example. They figured out how to hone in on it. And it's just a really happy-go-lucky kind of moment there. And I want one of those shirts.
Yeah.
They should make those shirts.
I'm legit surprised they didn't start coming out with them, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Probably
well,
find it
we
on
have to make
Etsy or
them.
something.
I
Yeah.
I went to I don't know somewhere and all I got was this T-shirt. I went to nerdinitiative.com and all I got was this T-shirt.
And all I got was this comic review.
Yeah, all I got was this comic. There we go. Look at that. Look at us.
Yeah. We'll keep that in mind. Definitely have to shoot a line to Michael about that to get that shit paid.
Ooh, that's a good point. Is Parasite a villainous diabetic? I guess. Yeah. I mean, he's on his medicine, if you want to say. Like, he's ADHD. As somebody who can relate. Like, he's all over the place, right? He gets hangry.
Yeah, you won't like him when he's hungry.
He's the Hulk, but
yeah, but not so much. But even though earlier in this series too, he was amped up in his powers, and that's something that we'll see with a pair of villains near the end of the story, because that's something that they were working behind the scenes and really setting up what is the following arc to this annual too. That this has been a slow burn build dealing with Lex Luthor and his legacy. And with Parasite, like I say, this is just a little fun break because obviously, as we see, a certain Parasite gets separated, and you see Jimmy Olsen is freaking out about it and doesn't know how to handle it. And you see Mercy Graves literally is like, "Yep, I'm going to take care of this." And we see Parasite just immediately go like, "No, it's not me, it's not me," and he's trying to plead the case for it. And he's like, "This is something that was left over, and it's just somebody that's hungry," and he actually wants to keep him as a pet. I mean, this is just one of the more funny Superman moments, I would say. And watching how this plays out, like I say, it gives a little comic relief because obviously not everything Metropolis needs to be so serious. And with Superman 2, he doesn't really have like the dark, brooding villains in comparison.
look at his quips. His quips are very like Boy Scoutish, right? Like he's very innocent in his quips. He's very just nonchalant and jokey in the things that he does. And comic books are fun too, so why not throw in the jokes?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing how this all plays out, like I say, this is just like a little fun introduction to the story, and especially with Jimmy Olsen there too, it really kind of builds the case up there a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like Lauren, when you're kind of just taking this whole story into, especially for somebody that you said this is your first Superman story you've read, what is your take on just this little portion of the story?
I mean, I've seen so much Superman on the screen that none of it surprised me. It all made sense. The only thing I haven't seen is the Luthor Corp turned Super Corp. So I thought that was a pretty cool, interesting take. But you know, even throughout Smallville and stuff, Lex Luthor and Clark Kent are very intertwined in things they do. There's a very like thin gray line between the two of them. And I know it sounds like a cop out, but I feel like Lex is probably my favorite villain because of Smallville, because I see all those times where he shouldn't have gone dark side. And it was almost like Jonathan Kent at times pushed him dark side, and all these outside I mean, at the end of the day, you're grown up and you're responsible for your own choices and your own actions, but you could see why he made the choices he did at times. And he's a very sympathetic villain at times, mainly in Smallville. You don't see that so much in other stuff. But none of it took me by surprise. You know, Jimmy Olsen, you know, you get the goofy camera guy version of him, and it's different in Supergirl, but so none of it really surprised me. And also all these people have, you know, if Parasite had attacked me in the past, then I walk in, and even if he was smiling when I walked in, I'd still be scared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He kind of reminds me of Randall from Monsters Inc. Just nice.
I don't know. Randall never had a good vibe though.
No, Randall never had a vibe. Parasite is like the innocent puppy, but like the whole purple slender vibe going on that he has. Like if Randall was a reformed villain, right there.
All right, I can see that. Like Steve Buscemi at the end of like Hubie Halloween, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like because he voices
still
Randall.
a great
that
movie,
was
by the
for
way,
anybody
yes.
who didn't see my connection. Yeah.
No, I love that take on it. It definitely plays into that too. And even our guy in the chair tonight, Tom, is saying, but that could be the same voice actor.
Oh, it totally could.
Something to ponder as we go on with the story too. Because then at this moment, we do kind of switch gears, and this is where it kind of takes a dive into Lois as she's just kind of organizing what is going on with the Daily Planet, and literally has the moment where she's meeting with Steve, who we saw with the hair, and is basically saying, well, if you want to go talk to Livewire, you're going to have to do it yourself. And she makes the trek to go see Livewire in prison. And this is where, well, we have somebody else jump in. And you have this very cool sequence go on where Livewire is coming to the defense of Lois Lane. Because taking on Red Cloud, that is where everything is really kind of like, you know, getting thrown into flux a little bit. And when you're seeing this happen, I mean, Matt, what's your take about this? That all of a sudden Livewire is playing hero?
It's a testament to, I hate how things are so black and white sometimes. I'm a very non-black and white kind of person. So when you see somebody like Livewire who is now playing hero, I love leaning into that aspect because not every villain is going to be strictly bad. Now your dark sides, sure, but Livewire has always kind of been on that cusp, like teetering, you know, for example, and this artwork, not for nothing, like the blue and the lightning is so awesome against the orange. Like blue and orange are my two favorite colors on earth, first of all. So when they lean into
Gators.
like, well, I graduated from Boise State, of course.
That's a pretty blue though. It's not like
it
the
is
dark blue like the Florida Gators.
I mean, even Megan shouted it out there. Like the blue and orange is just the contrast there is awesome. And we have Lois working hard into the night, like Superman's there. Like all the colors that contrast in this panel are really awesome. And that just makes this moment even more powerful to me.
Yeah. I mean, Lauren's seeing this whole fight go down. Like, how is your take on this?
I have to second the art. The art is absolutely gorgeous. But I don't think she's being a hero. I just think she's being self-serving. And I feel like that's with a lot of the, like when the other villains, you know, like, oh, you're taking Lois Lane's side. No, she's getting in good graces. She's getting a good story on the front page, and it's going to make her look better. And when she goes up for parole, whenever like she has this to help her, like, I don't think she was being a hero at all.
Yeah. And this is something too, that at the end of this, you see this, you know, very weird alliance formed between Lois and Livewire, that she's like, yeah, we got to stick together. Like, I have other plans for you than an interview. So when you see all this like transpire, it's like they're setting up for more to happen down the road, which I like how they do this because they leave it very, very open-ended. But then we get arguably the only quick point of Superman here. Because, like we say, for being his annual, he's not featured here. And you get the quick moment where he has to go rescue Toyman. And it's a very odd sequence of events because when he has to go find him and see him, you just hear that Toyman is saying, well, there was these two bad boys. They said they loved my designs. They wanted a play date. And Superman has to go rescue him. And then this ties into the villains that have been lurking around since the beginning of Joshua Williamson's run, and that's Dr. Farman Graff, who have a history with Lex Luthor. And you'll see if you read the series moving forward, how this all plays out and how their histories are all tied together. But it's a very interesting dynamic that you're seeing that Superman has a challenge from another so-called big brain, if you will, because Lex Luthor is on par with Bruce Wayne for being the smartest human being on Earth of DC per se, and to see now somebody rivaling them, that's a very interesting take to me. I don't know, Matt, what are you feeling about that?
No, I definitely agree. And I also like another thing that, we've kind of had like this upbeat kind of vibe going up until this point in the comic. And then all of a sudden, our first big introduction to Superman is like this dude is sitting here bleeding on the floor. You're like, oh, wow, that was kind of a switch. Which I also kind of appreciate too, because most of the time when you see Superman arrive on the scene, he's making that quip. It's kind of like, oh, the Boy Scout is here. Where in this instance, it's kind of a more darker, somber tone, contrasting to what the rest of this annual is about.
Yeah. I mean, and Lauren, for you too, like I say, this is your first real Superman moment. What is your reaction to this?
Well, it was interesting to see the toy maker vulnerable, and he's looking like a victim, and like Superman's there to rescue the bad guy. So that was, I did not see that coming. But I thought it was a fun twist, especially to see, I don't want to jump ahead, but I very much so enjoyed what the whole background was actually happening. I thought that was a really cool setup.
Yeah, no, fully agree. I thought it was a very cool setup too, because especially where we go to next. And obviously, you have some reporters looking through the archives of the Daily Planet, but then we get to what is arguably my favorite story of this entire day in the life of Metropolis, and that's Cat Grant.
Yeah.
And going around with the Metropolis PD and running into Marilyn Moonlight and hearing just her take, because obviously she's been the entertainment reporters here, but now riding along with the police and coming across the paths of Marilyn, and who's a new hero in Metropolis, and just seeing the reaction play out here. And there's a little bit of dialogue too that you see where Marilyn says, because Metropolis has never felt safe for me. And Cat breaks down and says, I get it. And you might not know the story about Cat Grant and Metropolis, but they do touch upon it. The toy man killed her son. And she's, obviously mentions that in the story too, to see her react like that. And then, obviously you see her break down from the facade that I would say the usual walls of defense, I should say, rather, apologize for that, of, coping with that loss. And this is the first time like you really see her just, in that moment too. And it's a very powerful scene, even though she quickly goes back to being the public persona. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just a powerful scene to play out. Lauren, I mean, what is your take on that?
Well, for one, again, I got to lay into that artwork, man. How they portrayed those lights and everything and that horse and all was absolutely gorgeous. And it made those moments, those like quick moments where she was doing the rescue, I was just like, whoa, what was that? So I thought that was really cool. But with Cat Grant, I feel like she's one of those characters that we always forget how strong she is because of that, persona you were mentioning. And like, she's into the celebrity stuff and she's into the fashion. And like, she's one of those people that doesn't want people to know she's a super intelligent, very empathetic person, because that would ruin her image. But she's vulnerable when she knows it will help somebody. So I thought that was a very strong scene, because I didn't know the background of this, and obviously that's devastating. I mean, that's whether it's fiction or nonfiction, that's something a parent or a character never comes back from, losing a child. And the toy man is now, they think running rampant through Metropolis. So of course she would, never feel safe. And that's sad too, to think like this person's saving lives, but they don't feel safe. So that's why they stay hidden. But I mean, that's a common thing among all superheroes too. We see that regularly, Spider-Man hiding Mary Jane kind of thing. So I thought it was a very, like I think Matt was saying before, was, we've gotten a little goofy because it's Superman, it's Metropolis, and we do get some lighthearted moments. And then it took a quick, beautiful, dark turn.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, what's your take on this story?
I am with Lauren there, right? And then to build off of what she was talking about and the fact that these reporters, Cat Grant, strong, she always portrays herself as strong. And so to see her in this moment where she kind of lets her guard down is just a testament to the writing, to where they can pull it back a beat and write this character so well. She's she's driven, she's all of this, just reporters. Like, I'm a reporter. I know what I am in this career field. People are going to try to bully me around. But right at this moment, I need to be a human being because I am a human being at the end of the day. And she kind of lets some of that shine through, and you're just like, oh yeah, like this has happened, and she still has this heart deep down, and you see it just for a second, and she even notices it for a second, and then she's like, quick, back to it.
Right.
And it just kind of like adds depth to her character.
Yeah, like I say, it's just a very cool story, and just really shows, like I say, the multi layers of these characters we see, and especially Kat too, and just her pouring of emotions. Like I say, this was one of all the reporters that stuck out to me the most, because we don't really see this side of Kat, and just to see it, I mean, it definitely connects with you as a reader, and just it's an emotional piece too, and just seeing how obviously with the toy man lurking around, just like how that's affecting her. I just saw it just top to bottom with the artwork too, just really conveying that emotion too. This was like, I think, the most powerful one for me. And then coming out of this, we go back to, well, the end of the day, and this is the Daily Planet at large. I say when we see this scene play out, that's the cover story. The Live Wire has made the front page. The little shot of Parasite with the baby Parasite, and then Cat Grant and Marilyn Moonlight. Like I say, it's a very cool scenario to see play out too. And you do see Silver Banshee with Jimmy Olsen, because that's a romance in the comics right now. And just how Lois is telling Clark, "You're late with your deadline." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, but he wasn't." And then he's breaking down, obviously, of what is going on with him and the story going on there, and it's just, it goes to show just a bit, how they deal with being work partners and also being in a relationship like that. Like, I thought that this was a cool moment too. That really is just, I mean, this is the day in the life of Lois. It's just a normal day.
Yeah.
And I thought just how this conveyed too across the screen. It just really was just like the cherry on top of the sundae. Just like, this is the real life of Metropolis. And there's more going on than Superman is here. I mean, Lauren, what was your take on this scene?
Oh no, I loved it, because it's also, he wants to, she doesn't worship him like Superman. Like, to her, he's Smallville. And so, and she even refers to him as Smallville. And I love that, she's telling him how her day was. And he's like, well, I can quickly read everything. And she's like, I already took care of it. I'm already doing it. And yeah, I just love that they have this, they're both badass in their own ways. And they just have this mutually equal respect for each other and what they can each do. And at the end of the day, their goals are the same, whether they're personal or professional or just heroish. And they're saving the world together, and I think it's really cool, and I really loved it, and I loved seeing him fly down in his little underoos, and her like, wherever you're late.
Go, man.
I don't have an issue with the underoos in the comics or the cartoons. I'm okay with the underoos in those.
Chat, super chat, make your voice heard. Underoos or no underoos for Superman?
I seem to be in the minority. We've done a couple polls in our Instagram stories and stuff when the latest
There's
James
just
Gunn.
something so good about getting your butt whooped by a guy wearing underoos. Come on.
I guess you and I probably look at the male superheroes very differently.
Quail Man, yeah, dude. Come on, Tom. Tom's got it. I do agree with Lauren. I think Lauren actually brought up some really good points here, by the way, if we can get serious again for a moment.
Sure.
It was that they're saving the world together. They are equals. Superman may be the most powerful being in the galaxy, and Lois Lane may just be a reporter human being. But when they are together, or not even when they're not, anytime they are on the same playing field. Superman does not have this complex about him that where he's like, oh, I'm better than you, you're not going to tell me what to do, Lois Lane. No, he listens to her, he values her, and vice versa. She can tell him like, dude, I don't care that you have all this power, X, Y, and Z, this is how it is. And I think that's why I really love their relationship. Their relationship is one of my favorites in all of comics, because they're a power couple. Yes. They work so well. There is no Superman without Lois Lane. And I don't even want to say it's vice versa, because Lois Lane is just, she's her own entity.
No matter what.
Exactly. But like, she is like, Flash has a lightning rod with whether it's Iris or whatever, or Linda, but with Superman it kind of grounds him, and this is his lightning rod, so to speak. And I love the relationship for that reason, and it works so well. And she had a long day, and Superman's like, you did, and you're right, I could have taken care of it, but you handled it. And that's a testament to her as a human being.
Right. Yeah. And I am very actually excited for. While I love Henry Cavill and I'm sad he's not coming back, I'm actually very excited for the new Lois Lane because if
David,
anybody's
oh,
watched Marvelous Mrs.
she's
Maisel,
so good in that
you
show,
know
dude. If you've
she's.
never watched that show, oh my
I
god.
mean, that would be Lois Lane in the or 60s if she was a comedian.
Yeah.
100%. That would be so. I think that this actress, whose name is I don't remember, is
I
going to kill it.
blank
I
so
think she's going to
hard, but
be a
she is so
phenomenal Lois
good.
Lane. Yeah.
I've watched every season of Marvel's Miss Maisel. She's got
Yeah.
it.
Every casting they've done for that movie so far has been lights out.
Oh yeah.
So James Gunn and Peter Safran and the team over at DC Films is taking their time with it because they understand the comic source material and they understand that Lois Lane is as strong as Superman in her
I
own right.
almost feel like they have to get Lois Lane right more than they do Superman, in my opinion.
Yes, I
Like
agree.
they do. And it'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to work together very well. David Corenswet is amazing as an actor, but they're taking their time, like you said, Peter Safran, James Gunn, like the whole casting team. They know that like this is their one big moment. DC is rebooting. DC is starting fresh. DC does not have
Kinda,
a
for the
very
most
good
part.
track record for a lot of folks. Man, I love DC, but
But taking their time, what Ken said, that's the one thing DC has not done
no.
with movies that Marvel has overall.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's things you could nitpick in both, but overall.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's the one thing I think James Gunn coming from the Marvel universe and seeing how the structure is there, understands it, and he understands too. This is Superman. This is the icon. Like
Yeah.
this is when you think superhero, arguably he's the first person that pops up. Arguably. So they're going to take their time with it, and when you see stories like this play out, like this really reinforces to the reader and to the audience. This is why Superman is Superman too.
Superman's been around longer than Batman. Batman is the cornerstone of DC, especially in comics. There's a new Batman comic, about 3 or 4 or 5 of them every single week. And so it's a very big testament again to what James Gunn and the DC is choosing to do, in that they're going to kick off this new universe with Superman. People forget that Superman inspired Batman initially in the comic books. That's why Batman had the underoos. That's why he had like the look. Initially he had like the red suit and everything. So Superman, like starting off with him and taking that step back and showing what he means to comic books, what he means to comic book readers is vital. And so getting this movie right, if they get this movie right, which I know they will, I've got no doubt about the DC, and I think we're going to see a big resurgence in Superman comic books. People kind of gravitating
yeah.
towards them again, big time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, they've already started doing that too. Like when this
True.
book came out too, this was right in the height of the dawn of DC era.
Yeah.
And there was a big push for Superman books too, especially Joshua Williamson coming here, the Action Comics setup that they had going on there too, which was amazing. Tom Taylor was writing Jonathan Kent. Like I say, they put a lot of emphasis on the super family and really reminded fans of his impact, not only to the superhero world, but to the people of Metropolis. And that's where I think that this issue really resonates too, because Superman inspires Lois just as much as Lois inspires Superman. And when you see her taking charge and leading the Daily Planet too, especially with Perry White, who's tied up with something else, he's no longer there. She's filling in that void and just attacking it head on, much like how Superman did Toyman. And it's a very interesting play that happens. So
that's a really good point, because I like that a lot. Superman inspires Metropolis. So you see this day in the life of Metropolis, a lot of these normal everyday citizens and even villains who have crossed paths with Superman, you see them wanting to be a better being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a testament again to Superman. Like he could crush anything and everyone in the blink of an eye. He chooses to be human. He chooses to do good. And I think his impact, like comic books are sports, movies are sports. He built the culture in Metropolis, and that has definitely resonated throughout Metropolis, as we see in this. Like Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She's always going to be Lois Lane, but it goes beyond her. Parasite, who's no, I'm reformed. Livewire, who is now on the hero spectrum. Jimmy Olsen has kind of that heroic heartbeat going because he has worked so closely with Superman and seen what Superman means to the city.
Inspires him, yeah.
Yeah, like it's about that inspiration. And yeah, that's a really good point that I didn't really think about, how Superman inspires, and it just his impact resonates throughout.
Yeah, he's a true symbol of hope.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's also why we have characters like Homelander and Omni-Man, because obviously they're parodies of Superman, because Superman's too perfect, too good. And in reality, somebody like that couldn't exist, is what we see like in our world. So like they have to be evil behind it all. Whereas, Superman, we don't see that. Obviously we see Bizarro Superman and instances where he goes dark side, but there's always something was going on. But I just feel like because he's so perfect, that's how we got those parodies that are so dark.
Yeah.
I say, as long as the Joker stays out of Metropolis, everything is fine. Because we see
He's too busy getting tattoos in Gotham that say damaged. Okay.
Yeah, and like I say, just one word: injustice.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
But that's for another time. We'll definitely get into that. But as this issue winds up, we do get a little setup about where we're heading to after here, and you see the shot that's
Lobo.
Yeah, well, we get the Perry White for mayor, and that's obviously taking up some time. You get a little more Lois talking with Clark. And then we get Lobo. Now, this is a moment that threw everything kind of out of whack, because we do see the villains that have been lurking around that we've kind of alluded to as well with Farm and Graf. And you do see that they're tampering with Lobo, of all people. And I know we have a run-in that allegedly his audio is now working.
Whoa! Who's this guy?
Did somebody call about the main man?
Who is this guy? He's even got the red shirt.
Yeah, he came prepared. I mean, I'm here with my Justice League shirt rocking.
I'm wearing Star Wars, okay?
I have an ocean-themed shirt on. I have Superman right here.
Yeah. As I say, Superman's represented in most of the screens here. But joining us, obviously, I'm the pop culture connoisseur, and I'll let him do his intro since he is jumping in now.
Coming at you live and direct, straight from my L-shaped couch in my living room. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur. My sincerest apologies to everybody out there. This new laptop, we don't get along.
Well, I think we can kind of tie it into who's responsible that we'll see at the end of here. But Tom, let's just jump in with you. Seeing Lobo of all people appear, what is your reaction to this?
Dude, it's Lobo. Anybody knows me. I love Lobo. I've loved every single iteration of Lobo that I have seen since Soup's animated series. Between Brad Garrett or the version that we got in Young Justice. Also, here, now that I'm portable,
there you go. Go to one shot, Tom. Tom, one shot yourself.
Running through my house. Anybody
It's
know
like
that
Blair
I
Witch
actually
for a
have
second.
sitting right up there?
Yep.
That is Omega Man number 3 that has the first appearance of Lobo, graded 9.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great story that goes behind it. Anyhow, no, I'm just super excited that Lobo's there running through my house.
It's like MTV Cribs.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to my crib. What's up? What's happening? Yeah, this is my Hall of Justice, and this is my Sanctum of Awesome. Anyhow.
You're going to end in the bathtub?
Full of M&Ms.
You'll find it
Mariah Carey style.
But no, I was super excited to see Lobo, and the fact that we got the two scientists who are, I would assume, were the bad boys that the Toy Man was talking about.
Yes.
Oh, good movie coming out soon.
It's great to the fact that it's not a Lex story. It's let's do something else. You get Batman, you think Joker. You get Soups, you think Lex. You get Flash, you think Zoom. Let's do something different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, what was your take about this whole scenario too? Just seeing Lobo show up out of nowhere.
Well, my initial thought was like, why? What's happening right now? I was a little confused because I was like, what does Lobo have to do with like this day in the life of Metropolis story? Like, what's going on here? So that was my initial reaction until they kind of gave us a little bit more.
Yeah. Now, Lauren, are you familiar with Lobo?
No, this was the only character in the comic that I was like, I don't know who this is. He didn't look familiar. I didn't recognize anything that was going on. And so I did Google it, and I only see, because the only animated DC stuff I've watched has been the stuff that Jensen Ackles was voicing Batman. And obviously, you know, some of like Batman Lego movie. But for, you know, if anybody who listens to our podcast, you know, I lean Marvel, Matt leans DC. So like but I also grew up, you know, as a child of the 90s where we watched all the Superman, all the Batman stuff, but I had no clue who he was. And seeing that, you know, he's only been in the animated stuff in the comics, it makes sense. But every other person I've come across, you know, Livewire and Parasite and all Jimmy Olsen, all these characters are incredibly familiar. Cat Grant. And I was like, I was confused.
You know, Hops Geeks, I think we need to add this to our to-do list and do a review of Young Justice.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh god, that show is so good.
Yeah, we can definitely put that on the list. But for Lauren, Lobo is basically DC's Wolverine, so to speak.
What?
They
come on in, Lauren. The water's great here at the DC
Lobo
world.
is a very unique character, which I will be explaining a little bit as we go on, because he is the definition of an anti-hero, if you will. So the fact that he's captured here and he's getting experimented on, this is not good for anybody. So because his thing, he's a Caesarian that killed his entire race. And he is basically the ultimate bounty hunter, which seeing this scene on screen happen here is one of the more frightening things in the DC universe.
Oh yeah.
Because when Lobo is screaming, "My world is dead," because he killed everybody, all of a sudden we now see his planet is alive and well. And I will say this, as somebody that has read Lobo quite some times and knows that he is, you know, basically a how do I put this mildly? Tom, we'll go back to the screen first. Don't go over here. I want to stay on this for a bit. We literally see this is basically his entire alien planet. And they're all going crazy because they're basically just one of the most brutal alien races in all of comics. And to see that Lobo, who completely wiped away his planet because he wanted to be the last one left, for lack of a better term, is now his planet is back. This is a wild thing to see play out. And then we get to the screen where Tom showed upon too here, and I'll go to this quick.
Yeah.
It's kept in a jar by none other than Brainiac, who has doomsday-esque coyotes.
I would dare to say devil dogs from Apocalypse.
Hellhounds.
I mean, this is just one of the more frightening scenes that Brainiac, who is the collector of worlds, literally has this here. And he has the last remaining of Zarnia at his fingertips. And this is basically a prelude for what we're seeing now on the screen. And that is the House of Brainiac crossover that is currently taking place right now in Action Comics and Superman. And you see this image on screen, and I think it says it all, that the super family is trying to fight an army of Caesarians. And if they're all as crazy and as dangerous as Lobo, their odds are not good. And in the background, we see Brainiac and a mysterious figure as well. And where this leads to is a certain crossover that's kicking off this summer known as Absolute Power, which is going to be, you know, a game-changing moment in the DC Comics universe. So that being said, we'll start with Matt. What was your take about seeing Brainiac involved, and let alone he has the last remaining survivors of Lobo's planet on board his ship?
Again, I mentioned earlier how Brainiac was one of my favorite villains, so it's always like an oh shit moment, you know, when Brainiac appears, because you're like, all right, it's about to get really serious here for a minute. And especially when it comes to Lobo, who is such a great character, so menacing in his own right, and the fact that Brainiac has his planet hot, and you go from, again, the tonal shift of, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, yay, we're Metropolis, yay, and then post-credit scene, Lobo's held hostage, Brainiac appears on, and you're like, oh, where are we going?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, Tom, what was your take on this?
Going back to what I said as far as Batman, Joker, I do like the fact that we're going straight up to Brainiac. It wasn't obviously going to Doomsday, because agreeing with Matt, Brainiac is more one of those. Doomsday is a hey, I'm here to get your world. Brainiac is more of that galactic universal bad guy in my book.
Mhm.
So I'm all for it. It's
Yeah.
a very logical choice.
Lauren, how about you?
Well, let's just say I stopped watching Supergirl before Brainiac went evil. So I had only known him as the goofball. Well, he's not a well, he's kind of goofy. He's goofy
He
in
didn't really
Supergirl.
go evil though.
Oh, he never went evil. See, I stopped watching.
Don't
couldn't do
worry,
it
everybody
anymore.
else did too.
I mean, I liked the beginning ones, and I really liked
True, unfortunately.
Melissa, or I liked that Supergirl.
Melissa
I thought she was,
Benoist, yeah, she was awesome.
yeah, and I loved her in the crossovers. But I was watching with my daughter, and once my daughter lost interest, I was like, I can't do this anymore. But I was, like I said, I was confused. So I was very like, where is this going? Because I have literally no idea. So yeah, I mean, I was for it, but like I said, up until that moment, I know these characters, I know these storylines, I'm enjoying this, and then I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it, because with Brainiac involved, it's always complicated. And if you've been reading the House of Brainiac crossover, which has been absolutely wild, it really is explaining a lot. And I don't want to spoil an issue that came out today, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend checking out Superman 14. Because after you see that scene on screen, something happens that you'll really understand a lot of the direction that we're going to be heading into DC this summer. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, that being said, that's the wrap of the issue. Before we get into our grades, we'll start with, obviously we talked about a lot of stuff we loved about this. We'll start with Lauren. Lauren, was there anything you didn't like about this issue?
No, there's nothing that stands out as something I didn't like. I thought they handled everything great. Everybody, all the main characters got their own little moments. The art was absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't all about Superman. I was okay with that. Yeah, no, I really have no complaints.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I don't really have complaints. I guess if I had to find something, it's more of like the Lobo Brainiac thing kind of came out of nowhere. They felt like, oh yeah, we need to set up what's going to be happening down the road. So because it felt disjointed in a manner. It didn't really have much else to do with the entire rest of the comic, where we're like, hey, it's a day in life of Metropolis. Superman's out doing his thing, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh yeah, by the way, here's Lobo and Brainiac. And you're just kind of like, wait, why? What? They didn't.
But it was interesting how they tied it with the kids playing the video games, and they thought they were like playing a demo. So I thought that was how they kind of like tied it in loosely there to kind of bring it together. But I assume it was just to set off the next story.
Well, yeah, I mean, these annuals still have to tie into the bigger story at hand. So I guess that would be my only complaint. I really enjoyed this. Other than that.
All right, Tom?
Lauren just brought up a really good point about the kids playing the video game. And
Damn it, Lauren, you're so good at this.
We've seen that in another. I can recall seeing that in some other franchise.
X-Men.
Where was it X-Men?
I don't know. I just threw it out because X-Men 97 had video games, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that was the Motendo episode. But
yeah,
it was arcade.
It was arcade?
Yeah.
Okay, so great job, Lauren. Thank you.
You're welcome. I would say good job, Ken, but okay.
Well, you started it.
All right.
No, I think that this, again, I agree with Matt that it was a little all over the place. But if anybody, just real quick, did anybody else hear Lori Petty every single time Livewire said something?
I don't know who that is.
Who?
What did
I do? Is that
board.
Richard Petty's wife, the king?
Okay, hold on, I'm going to soapbox here for a second.
I know Tom Petty.
She's a good girl. Okay. But if anybody didn't know, back on the original Superman animated series, Lori Petty, the TV star who also was famous for playing Tank Girl at the time, did the original voice of Livewire and has reprised her role as many times as possible, because Livewire comes off very hard and heavy and shock rock.
Oh, yeah, dude, yeah.
So I still, how like anytime we read Batman,
I know what you're talking about
Kevin
now.
Conroy. I still hear Lori Petty every single time. Just want to
Gotcha.
put that out there. I thought it was great the fact that Lois is like, screw this. Us bad bitches got to stick together. You get your own damn column. Anyhow, I couldn't find a single flaw. I agree with the little nitpicks like pacing.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
all
you
I
have this one tone and then it shifts at the end. Like, all
See, I
right.
thought that was just me because all of a sudden I felt out of the loop. There was one thing I do want to mention. There was a close-up of Superman at one point, and I swear it looked like Christopher Reeve, like a young Christopher Reeve.
Mhm.
And
The
is that a
scene
bad
where
thing?
his eyes were
That's what I was
like
saying.
popping blue, but man, that the art in this was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, they did such a great job creatively too with all the artists, and Joshua Williamson leading the way here too. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm going to throw up the creative call here too because they definitely deserve another round of applause on this one. And they really, like I say, when you do an annual like this and you're doing multiple stories, I like how they had different artists come in and really give a different take to everybody that was being covered. And I really thought that helped make it seem different, and how you as a reader are walking through this and seeing Metropolis through somebody else's eyes. So, when you're seeing this, it just really adds something to it, and especially being the secrets of Metropolis, like it should all feel the same.
Hmm.
And I would say for me, the only thing I didn't like about this, but it's just me thing, would be I
Yeah.
wanted to see somebody dig into Perry White a little bit in the campaign. Like I thought that would have been something really to get more, because we did get a little quick shot of him in the office there as he's getting ready. But and they've touched upon it since, so it's like it kind of made up for it. But I think just in that moment that would have been, and then obviously the Lobo one I marked out for, but I do agree. Like I know they're setting up for a lot as I've been reading the series, so kind of I have to keep that in the context.
Hmm.
But I mean, I just think just overall, like this is just such a brilliant issue to do, and especially really highlighting not Superman because he's barely in this,
Hmm.
but the people of Metropolis and the people of the Daily Planet that really are the voice of the voices. They're the voice of Metropolis, and to hear their stories come out and how they put it all together, I really thought they did a masterful job, and I'm so happy it got nominated for an Eisner. So
And
that being, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lauren.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like that says something to a universe when you can barely have your named character in it and it still feels like a Superman
Oh,
comic.
yeah.
Like they've been doing that a little bit with Wolverine and the Sabretooth War, where it's like he hasn't been on the page much, but it still very much so feels like a Wolverine comic. And I think that's just credit to the writing of these amazing worlds they've created that we get immersed in.
Yeah. So that being said, we got to give a grade on this. So chat, super chat, if you read this book, I threw it up there. Definitely throw your grades in this. And if you've heard us describe this, I mean, what do you think out of 10? Like, what do you think of this issue? And we'll start with our late joinee today, if we can call him that. Tom, what is your grade on Superman Annual 2023?
Oh, I'm poking him on that.
I think he's at a rave now.
I don't. Everything's acting up today. Apparently now voice recognition's working on my home.
Maybe Live Wire's there.
Seriously, Lori Petty. Anyhow, please cause flashing lights. Disclaimer. 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10.
Ooh, okay.
It was too. There wasn't anything I didn't enjoy, even with the the little drop.
All right, Matt.
Interesting. This might be back-to-back episodes where Tom has graded higher than me because I chose a 9.5, honestly. Just for the reasons I've already mentioned. Like I felt like the ending was just a little bit weird in comparison, but a 9.5. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff. It was great getting to see the day-to-day a Superman story that had a Superman feel without Superman overly in our face. Yeah.
All right, Lauren, how about you?
I'm going to go 9.5 as well. I feel like the art really stood it out and made me go above a 9 because that was just every page was gorgeous. And then I would think, oh, this can't get any more gorgeous. And then enter the Maryland moonlight. So it kept getting more and more gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, this book, like I say, I thought it was a fun take on Metropolis. I thought that they really did some very cool things, and especially to highlighting everything that we often forget about Superman. that is the people of Metropolis, and they do a really good story. And they really made sure to sell some points to us. So the Kakarot one really stood out to me, the Jimmy Olsen one was fun. Everybody else got a little bit of sprinkles in here. And I think for me, I would like to see more of it. But I really love this because, like I say, I've been reading this since issue number 1. It's a phenomenal run, period, and like where this goes from here too, and especially now in the House of Brainiac and how that is leading into where we're going to go for this summer. Like I say, there's so much win about this. And for anybody that wants to understand about why we get excited as fans for the new Superman movie, you read a book like this, and this takes you back, and this is just literally definition, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for me, I gave this a 9, and I wanted to see a little bit more out of the Metropolis crew, but honestly, the stuff I got really hit and really connected, and like I say, I recommend this book a lot too. So if you want to get into Superman right now, there's no better time to do that. Because, like I say, he's poised to have a big 2024 and then even larger 2025. So that being said, what's that?
I'm odd man out. I'm the highest score.
I almost gave it a 9 as well, to be honest. But I was like, no, I'm just nitpicking.
I was leaning 9, but the artwork pushed it to a 9.5.
I guess I'm waxing nostalgia. Just
that gives us a score of 9.5 overall. Just
I like that you had to pull a calculator out to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm dumb. I'm in the Air Force. I don't know math.
It's definitely not that
ladies and gentlemen.
Old-fashioned.
Guys, I don't know math. Come on now.
The math is mathed.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, the thing is about this is we all gave pretty high grades about this because obviously this is a story that we all, really enjoyed. And I mean, right there on the screen too is our total grade. And that is going to be the official Nerd Initiative seal of approval right there. It's a 9.5.
Stamp it.
So when you get down to the comic shop or you hit the QR code that's right by Matt and Tom, click on that when you get down because obviously New Comic Book Day is tomorrow. And this will be an issue you wanted to go check out as well too, along with the great House of Brainiac storyline that's going on there too. But we have a few more picks going on this week, and we'll let Lauren go first. Lauren, what are you picking up at the shops this
Wolverine.
week?
No, it's not Wolverine this week, actually. I got Union Jack the Ripper. So this was actually a fun one. This is Blood Hunt, which is like there's a whole bunch of different comics going on with this right now. If you went to Free Comic Book Day, they had an X-Men one, which I read that before I read this. This was written by Kavan Scott, pencilers Kev Walker. It was a lot of fun. So it's not the Union Jack. Don't expect Howling Commandos. This is a new Union Jack, and he is there to kill some vampires, but he's got some secrets too, and he's not exactly the hero you might expect. He's more of an anti-hero. So again, there's going to be multiple different stories going on with Blood Hunt, and I've read Howling Commando comics, but I've never read one that was just Union Jack. And one of the reasons I picked it was because I loved Sonya Fallsworth in Secret Invasion. She was the only good thing about Secret Invasion. So I was like, yeah, I'll get this one. That's her grandpa. And it's not her grandpa. It's a different one, but it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend this one. If you like the whole supernatural world, the whole vampire world of Marvel and everything, definitely pick this one up and pay attention to any of the Blood Hunt stuff.
Yeah, Blood Hunt is wild. I'm just going to put that out there right now. If you have not read it.
Dark. Don't buy it for your kids.
Yeah.
The art was like, oof.
Yeah. There's a red band warning on it for a reason.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. Matt, what are you picking up this week?
Distillery Media is at it again with White Boat, dude. Scott Snyder's highly anticipated horror thriller has finally being released tomorrow with artist Francesco Francavilla. Now, this is it's like more of a thriller. They call it kind of a horror. There's a lot of twists, a lot of turns that they're promising. This first issue is so beautifully drawn, man. Francesco is absolutely a god at the way he changes tones throughout different parts of the story. There's 3 different parts of the story. You have like 3 different chapters, I should say. And Scott does a really good job as far as building the anticipation, the suspense, the mystery behind our character, which is Lee. And that's all I want to give you because this is a must grab Distillery. This is a highly anticipated comic book. It's supposed to come out. It's been pushed, but guess what, folks? It's finally out and it is worth the wait by every second.
All right. Excellent choice. Tom, what are you picking up this week? Because I think you and I had the same pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Power Rangers.
No. I mean, Ken and I have had the pleasure.
Green Lantern.
That's right. Ken and I have had the pleasure of talking with Tim Sheridan on here about Green Lantern. Hopefully, we can get him back. But issue 6 of Green Lantern is coming out. This is going to be the end of his actual run doing Alan Scott Green Lantern, and that is Ken and I are on the same page with this. This has been a phenomenal book. We hope we can get Tim back. But also on screen is Ken's pick. Take it away.
Stephanie Phillips.
This is one I scream this at the top of my lungs every week, and I will stand on my soapbox. There is absolutely no cooler book at the LCS when it drops than Grimm by Stephanie Phillips and Flaviano, Rico Renzi, and Tom Napolitano. So this is a book that if issue number 17, that if you listen to the interview I had the pleasure of talking with Stephanie Phillips about, this is the book that she was touting as like their entire creative team was excited about it. And it's like, and honestly, if you've been following the series, it's really focusing on one certain character who's one of the most popular ones in the book. And man, oh man, like, this lives up to the billing. No spoilers, but trust me when I say this, the entire series is a must get. So if you haven't gotten into Grimm, you definitely want to give it a chance because it's punk rock, DIY, supernatural, so many elements going on. And especially now that they've come back, like we were on a little bit of a hiatus, they're back now. They're absolutely crushing it in this issue. So much is going on with that. Like I say, I have to really not tip anything off because obviously no spoilers. But man, like I say, this is one that I had circled down, and yeah, I will have a lot to say tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any social media channel you find me on.
I mean, Stephanie Phillips, you see her name on it. It's one of those things that, dude, I absolutely am there. And hands down, she is one of the best comic book writers out there right now.
She's great to follow on TikTok too. She's very interactive and answers questions.
She explains like her entire process and like the comic book process in general. Yeah, she is amazing to follow on TikTok.
Drops in from the top rope.
Yeah, no, she, like I say, she has a monster week coming out too. Spider-Gwen from Marvel is coming out. Black Widow, Hawkeye is coming out. So, like I say, go support her. And obviously, I just flashed the QR code up here as well. So make sure to New Comic Book Day, go check that out. And, you know, really take a look at, you know, all the great bullpen reviews that are going on here as well. Because with New Comic Book Day, we got a lot happening. And with the QR code there, that'll take you right to nerdinitiative.com. where we are slated to go deep into the afternoon, giving you the picks that you need to go get at the LCS each and every time that we are dropping something. So the books are coming out, like we're telling you what you need to go get. Like that's how easy it is. And no team is doing it like the Nerd Initiative Bullpen when it comes to New Comic Book Day. Nobody is.
By a mile. A mile. You know what? I live my life a quarter mile at a time, and we are out there. We out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that being said, we got to wrap this show up. Tom, why don't you let everybody know what's going on with you and your brand, and obviously Doctor Who on Mondays.
Who?
Ooh, I'm down. Whoop.
It's like the Brady Bunch. It's a story.
Anyway, you can find me right here at Off the Cuff Tom. Obviously, I've been doing the new TV talk here on Nerd Initiative, starting off with Who in review, and obviously, if you can't tell, I've been having technical difficulties with this brand new laptop.
Blame the laptop. All right.
Figure it out. Oh no, it's the truth.
It's the real villain.
It's true. AI is taking over.
I have not bought a new computer in almost 20 years for myself. So trust me, I am learning as I go again. Anyhow, other than that, you'll find me here on Nerd Initiative, and you'll see that review of my other pick of Power Rangers, even though, you know, I got the purple light and everything, but I got to double up with Ken this week. So yeah, that's where you'll be able to find me.
All right, great stuff. Matt, Lauren, what is going on with you in Hops Geeks News?
Well, you're in luck. Star Wars month is going. You know, Lauren's actually coming to Virginia next week, so you're going to see some action with Lauren and I in person, hanging out, going to just, you know, homies be homies. The family's going to come up, stay at the house. I'm pretty excited. It's always a great time. We're blessed. 3 times in 1 year. Crazy, because we live 12 hours apart.
Very far away.
But aside from that, man, we are going to be live tomorrow night on the Hops Geek News YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook pages at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we are going to be talking about the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. You do not want to miss that. We recently just dropped an episode with our friend Chandler from Crafted Cores. They make kyber crystals for your Savvy's lightsaber.
Really
And
pretty kyber
they
crystals.
do. And then the next episode releasing next week is going to be all about the lore of the Sith. So the easiest way to do it, man, just like, subscribe, share, Hops Geek News. That's where we're at each and every week. We're doing live canteen hours. We are unfortunately going to watch Madam Web on Monday and share it with our Patreons only and make it a game.
Still haven't
So
seen it. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet either, and I'm going to have to watch it twice to prepare. So
I'm not going to watch it beforehand. I don't know if I can watch it twice. I'm just going to do it live, man.
you know what? I might have to F it. We do it live. But yeah, that's what we have going on, man.
I'm going to make my husband watch too.
We out here. So, and then of course, dude, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Right? Come on. Nerdinitiative.com. Right. What more do you need?
But yeah, once May wraps up, though, we won't be just Star Wars. We'll be talking The Boys. We'll be talking Lion King. We'll get back into some Supernatural. And of course, July, we're going to be all Deadpool and Wolverine. So that's just, yeah.
There's a lot coming via Nerd Initiative and everybody with Deadpool Wolverine. So I don't want to divulge too much, but I'm just going to say stay tuned and make sure.
Gordon and I might get to go together. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Stay on those QR codes because trust us, we got a lot of stuff lined up for that. As for yours truly, odphpodcast.com, click on the QR code. New episodes drop in, plus probably a lot of New York Rangers talk as the playoffs are going on, because you can see my playoff beard is going to last just for a little bit as we go on to hockey season. Sorry, Matt, I did not mean to throw any.
I'm sorry, hockey season's over, dude. We're on to OTAs, football. Yeah. Jordan Love looked great in OTAs today. Just saying.
Panthers.
The entire offense was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I didn't hear any of that. I'm sorry. Just my audio faded out. It just went away. But more importantly, though, this week, obviously, new comic book day. We're going to throw that QR code up one more time. So make sure you put that in your RSS feeds. Make sure you have that clicked on starting 9 a.m. If you want some DC and Comixology Originals reviews, they're up right now and they're blowing up. So you want to get that in line too. And especially where we're kicking off 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going into the deep afternoon. I just got the text from Marty Stoke. We're going to have a
2-1-15, brother.
We're going later.
Oh, we're going to like 2 o'clock. I'm just going to say, 3 o'clock. You know what? Nerdinitiative.com 24/7. How about that?
That challenge might be up.
All because of our tribal chief down.
Matt just volunteered to do a lot more comic book reviews tonight.
Yeah. We're just gonna stay up. Yeah, I don't know what the Guinness record is, but we'll go find it. But if you want to find out about more what's going on in Nerd Initiative, obviously click on the QR code. That'll take you to nerdinitiative.com. Sign up for the newsletter, and you can find out everything going on in 2024 and beyond in the land of pop culture positivity. And because our boss tells us we have to, make sure to click on for Nerd Initiative merchandise. As you go into con seasons this summer, you want to make sure you're supporting the brand out there. So if you want a hat, you want a hoodie, you want a tumbler, you name it, it's probably there. There's Turn Page merch. If you want to go support the show specifically, or if you want to just go wear the logo out in public, make sure you go click on there and go get some swag for the summertime. So that all being said, folks, it has been a very, very highly entertaining episode of Turn a Page. Next week, we may have a friend joining us that we haven't talked to in a hot minute, because a final issue of a certain series is coming out on Kickstarter. So we have to make sure if he's swinging through, if he's not hiding from a certain chainsaw-wielding grandma. So stay tuned for that. But on behalf of the hardest working team in comics, the Nerd Initiative Bullpen, Matt, Lauren, and Tom, my name is Ken M. And when you see somebody at the comic shop struggling to find something, and you have a great issue, such as Superman Annual 2023 in your hands, hand yours off to them. Come to my page. We'll see you guys next week.
I'm out.